Hey, it's your boy. What up, gamers? What else? What else do YouTubers say when they introduce their?
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, and be sure to subscribe and do all that stuff before you've seen the video. Seems unfair to ask for it now, but we're gonna. Hey everyone, it's Hunt, back with another episode of Tabletop Recap, the least listened to tabletop gaming podcast in the universe. We also got Big Boy Chungus here.
Hello, Shaylas.
Bad. Wow. Terrible.
There's no pleasing you.
I feel like every time I introduce you, you make some joke and then I go, bad. No, wrong.
I've given up trying to please you.
You can't please me because I don't want to be pleased. I'd rather be angry and put myself above people than enjoy their company. I think we just had a breakthrough. For real though, we are back. Finally, fully catching up on our sessions for Waterdeep Dragon Heist. This is the session that you guys did less than a week ago. What's today? Friday? Thursday. Oh, wow.
We did this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 days ago.
Nice. So it should still be pretty fresh in your mind. I, however, wasn't there. I had to work. I usually work Saturdays, but I did have to work this Sunday because the day I'm recording this is actually the first day of my vacation, and I leave tomorrow for my destination, Ranger Stop and Pop 2022, Atlanta, Georgia, not the Florida one. I wouldn't be caught dead in Florida. I'm kidding. I've been to Florida multiple times. It did suck. That part wasn't a joke. But I would go there if I had to. What was I talking about? Yeah, okay. So you guys played this session without me. And I don't know anything about it. You guys were talking about
dodging spoilers on the group chat like crazy.
Yeah, you guys were talking about it in the chat, but I've just been like swiping my messenger bubble away. I haven't been checking intentionally because I wanted to be surprised in real time on the podcast. Because I know Susan sent me some paragraph that was like, here are the things that you need to add to your inventory and stuff, and it was worded in a confusing way, so you might have to explain that to me. There was just one thing in it that was confusing to me, and that was how I need... Because I'm the one that does the paperwork for our debt, because we're in debt.
Yeah.
And that part I didn't understand what she was trying to say, but she was like, oh, here's an item that you get, and here's your gold. I understood that perfectly. I don't understand exactly what I need to do with the bill.
Okay.
I'm not criticizing or anything. I just personally don't understand it. That's all on me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no context, so...
And I got my stuff here with me today. It's in my car, so I can grab it and we can do that and level up if you guys did. I don't think we did. Did you?
I told the group after the session that next session they will have earned a 4th level slot. So we can do that today if you want. If not, we can do it whenever it's convenient.
It's whatever. I wasn't there, so you don't even have to give it to me if you don't want to. But, yeah, so this was the most recent session. I'm just going to let you tell me a wonderful story, and I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to react.
You just stop me if you ever get confused or you want to talk about something. So, last session, or I should say this session, Vorn, first thing he wanted to do was just pawn off the silverware that he had gotten from the previous session.
Of course.
Everyone started off their day with the mindset of, okay, we're going to go deal with the dragon today.
Right, I do remember that was what we had to do.
Because Mira wasn't present, Terry really wanted to fill the role of keeping an eye out for the group for Vorn shenanigans.
I'm glad someone filled my niche because I'm the one that kind of makes him behave.
He wasn't as good as you, but then again, only having one person rather than two made it a little bit easier for him. But he still did a good job. He didn't cross any lines, didn't put anybody in jeopardy.
He's Brock and I'm Misty, but instead of sexual harassment, he just steals things. Can we talk about Brock for a second? No, I'm just kidding.
So the party wakes up, and Terry and Vorn are the first ones up. And they're like, before we do anything, I want to go to the pawn shop. And Vane is still getting her dress and everything on. And
they're all in the same room?
No, they're not.
Okay.
I'm trying to set this stage. Everyone kind of woke up separately, but then everyone reconvened later. But so Vorn wakes up kind of early because he wants to sneak out and pawn the stolen goods that he got from the carnival ship the other day.
Of course.
And Vane is distracted. She's in her own room. She's getting her dress ready. But as soon as Vorn rounds the corner to leave the commons area of the tavern, Terry's like, "Where are you going, Vorn?"
Where are you going, Vorn? He's just in the corner.
Yeah, actually he was.
What are you doing there, Terry? I was here all night, Vorn. Where were you?
This is the same Terry who stayed up all night in a pigeon poop riddled
He just
watchtower.
let those birds poop on him.
But so Vorn is like, I want to try and deceive him, tell him where I'm going, and he tells him, he says he's going to the pawn shop and to get rid of some personal items, and he's just deceptive enough that Terry believes him, but not deceptive enough to throw Terry off his trail. He's like, "I want to go with you." And he says, like, "Why?" He says, "Because I am bored," or something like that. So the two of them go to the pawn shop that Vorn went to previously to pawn off the gemstones. And while he's working on forking over the forks, Terry just decides that he wants to kind of browse the pawn shop's goods and trinkets. Vorn winds up getting approximately 5 gold pieces and 5 silver pieces for the silverware.
That's pretty good.
It is actually. The pawn shop owner was only going to give him 5 gold pieces, 1 for each fork, knife, and spoon that he had gotten.
That still seems like a lot.
Well, yeah, you think about it, but then again, you also got to realize, time and effort play into the price of this stuff too. Plus, it was really, really fine silverware. And so Vorn managed to convince him, because Vorn wanted 2 pieces of gold for each piece. And so they met halfway in the middle through haggling at 1 gold piece and 1 silver piece.
Okay.
Terry, on the other hand, I loved doing this because he wanted to look at all the knickknacks and see if there was anything that stood out. And so I got to break out the trinket list from the player's handbook.
Oh, nice.
Which requires a D100 to roll. And I said, I need you to roll your percentile die to see if anything stands out.
I love it.
And he rolled, and he noticed a purple monogrammed handkerchief with the name Hallister Blackcloak on it. He did not know what the name meant. It sounded familiar, but he didn't bother to roll a history check, so I said nothing.
I don't remember.
But he haggled it, and he managed to get the handkerchief for a single gold piece, which, was a little bit high.
Especially with someone else's name on it.
Yeah. But the party eventually reconvened back at the tavern, and they got both some good news and some bad news.
Oh, God, I'm on the edge of my seat.
The first thing
I'm edging.
The first... I will say this. When regards to this session, this is not the first time I've said Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
So, Vane comes down from the commons area of the tavern, and Vorn and Terry are reconvening in the front lawn. So everyone's kind of grouped back together. But the first thing they all notice as they get back to their business and place of abode is there's a paddy wagon and a small group of armed guards escorting a very angry Emic Froon from his premises.
Hell yeah, Pigpen's going to the Pigpen.
And a sergeant, he's not really a sergeant, but I explained the rank. He's basically a sergeant.
The equivalent of.
Yeah. A sergeant by the name of Smith Pudginson.
Pudginson. I love it.
A halfling sergeant in the city watch approaches the party and informs them that Froon has been arrested on, let me see, what were the grounds for. He was arrested after a serious investigation and interrogation of parties involved. Emic Froon has been arrested on charges of fraternizing with known criminals and damaging citizens of Waterdeep's property and reputation. He will be tried in front of a magister over the next 10 days, in which case he will be most likely found guilty, but that verdict is yet to be determined.
So do we get to sue, or...?
Well, that some of the party did ask about that, and they said, well, we will convene with you about that once the final verdict has been decided. Everything I say past this point is simply speculation about the case involving Emic Froon. But as soon as a decision has been made by a magister at Castle Waterdeep, we will notify you about any pending damages to be paid.
Nice.
However, this is the best news that I have for you. There is some rather disappointing news as well. Are you familiar, or do you recollect the night of 10 days ago when you were witness to a drow assailant murdering a city watch guard?
I remember that, yeah. Did they?
Well, yeah, they did. They said, oh, yeah, that was at the night of the opera. Like, well, we regret to inform you, but the suspect in question has escaped custody.
He
informs... And he says...
Continue.
He informs them of that... informing them of her escape was vital, as they were not necessarily the ones responsible for her being caught, but they were present, and they did play a part in it, and they wanted to let you guys know in case she sought repercussions for your involvement. He also included a lot of information about the investigation that they had on with her. They were able to determine that her first name is Felrecht, but they were not able to discern a last name. She is working with a new and up-and-coming gang in the city, and at the time of her escape, there was no sign of forced exit or forced entry from any alternative party, and the pistol, that is what we have taken to calling the weapon she used to kill the guard, was also taken from the evidence area with no sign of forced entry or exit as well. It is almost as if she simply walked out of the jail with nobody noticing. So the party was notified. They're like, okay, thank you so much, officer, for keeping us apprised of that. We will, of course, do our civic duty to let you know if we see or hear anything. And he says, and likewise, we will keep you appraised of the current situations as well for your safety.
Man, everyone's gunning for us. In this case, literally.
Let's see. Vorn was also given a note by the sergeant before he left. It was signed by...
Let me guess, it said pay your taxes.
Close, actually. It was signed by Blastwind, the guy who's...
That's what they called me in college. I ripped ass a lot in the dorms.
Barnabas Blastwind. He was given a note signed by Barnabas Blastwind addressed to Vorn, and the note was actually an apology.
Really?
Yeah. The note basically said, and I handed Matt a sticky note with all the information. He said that it took us a while, but we found the documents regarding your stay and visit in Waterdeep. Your taxes have actually been paid. We apologize for hassling you on that matter, and that as long as there are no further delays on regular payments, there will be no further hassle on this matter.
Huh. Did his little thievy friends arrange that, or?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
The party then decides that there are a couple other matters that they want to attend to. Nothing from guild. This is all personal stuff. And decide that the dragon will be the last bill for the day.
There's a dragon terrorizing the bay, but it's fine.
Well, he's more like just pranking.
It's more like just annoying.
So the first thing that the party decides to do is they all want to pay a visit to Vane's parents' house.
Of course, I miss that. Of course, I miss meeting the parents. Crap, that would have been so fun.
it kind of was, but not for the reason you think.
Oh,
so
man.
Vane goes to her parents' house, and the rest of the party goes. She wants to pay off some of her loan that she owes to her parents, as well as propose some new business ideas for the latest line in magically enhanced poop pots.
For royalties, I'm sure.
Oh, of course. So Vane's parents, the dad is really just a jerk businessman, and he has no expectations of his daughter, what with her prior behavior, drinking in public and fraternizing with those of lower stature. The
She
mom
literally turned her act around in a day. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but again, so the first thing that her dad says to her when she walks in the door is, "I'm so sorry to hear about your failing business."
Oof, Jesus, is it my dad? Christ.
Because all he heard was that it was infested with rats, and that the profits took a hit because of it.
No hello. No how are you?
And so here's the thing: is that she tells her dad that he says, "No, I've just come. The business is doing fine. Everything actually has been handled. That wasn't our fault. There was a criminal rival involved, and we got confirmation this morning that he was arrested and is being dealt with by the law. I just came by to give you some ideas for your business and to pay off my debt that I owe you guys." And the dad, I don't like role playing a-holes, but it was required for this moment. And Vane is getting ready to hand over just 13 gold pieces to pay off part of her debt. And guess what Vorn the Chad does?
Do tell.
He proceeds to take... so after Vane pays the 13 gold to her dad, he's like nickel and diming it in his little notebook.
And God, that is my dad.
And then Vorn proceeds to take a big old sack of gold, exactly 204 pieces left to pay off her debt, and throws it on their coffee table.
Bruh.
And
What? You're right. That was a Chad moment. As we said a couple episodes ago, he takes care of his own.
Yeah, and I rolled an insight check for the dad to see if he would be curious about where this money came from a shady-looking figure who is only known through his daughter. But he rolled super low, and so he's got like money signs in his eyes. He's
like a big old Bugs Bunny character.
Yeah, so he didn't care where the gold came from. And Vane was like, "Oh my God, Vorn, you didn't have to do that." And Vorn's like, "He was being a dick."
Anything to embarrass the rich, okay? Anything.
He says, "I'm going to make this up anyways by stealing from other nobles anyway."
Yeah, I'll just steal it later. It's fine.
He didn't say that.
Of course, because we would not have approved.
But then I do have to give Vane some concerning looks because I knew what she was trying to do with this next segment. It didn't work. I caught onto her little scheme. But so basically what she did is she did go through a business venture with her dad. She had a whole list of ideas of magical enchantments that you could put on chamber pots. And she said, I want to leave this with you, Dad, but before I go, can I get my bottomless kitty litter box? And she didn't tell me about this.
Oh,
she just sprung it on me.
You gotta confirm with that DM.
Yeah,
you got these things.
she wanted to imply that she had this bag of holding in the form of a cat-sized chamber pot up in her room. Because we've been talking about her wanting to get a bag of holding for a while. And I said, just ask around and buy one. If you have the money, there you can buy them from any reputable magic dealer in town. They're just expensive. And I didn't tell her no, but what I did tell her is that when a butler went up to check, he regretted to inform her that particular chamber pot was involved with an incident regarding an actual bag of holding, and now both reside on an alternative plane of existence.
Oof.
So no bottomless chamber pot, I'm afraid.
Whack.
Let's see. The party then proceeded to go meet the woman with the diving apparatus, because we didn't talk about that in the previous podcast, but the party had heard after they got the mission from Vajra Zafar that there was a woman in the dock ward who was working on a diving device that would allow players to explore underwater areas in the harbor for extended periods of time. And they thought, oh, well, maybe we can convince this woman to let us use it to go find this dragon since it's kind of swimming around in the harbor. And they do find her place of abode through some investigation checks. Her name is Grinda Garloth, and she is working on a diving apparatus. And the biggest... I loved kind of explaining this to the party because the inspiration for explaining it came from... Well, let me see if you can guess where the reference was. So they go there, and Grinda is kind of an older human wizard. She's got kind of a beehive hairdo, solid white, purple. And this device that she's working on is essentially a submarine that is shaped like a crab. It's got a giant hull that you can access. It's got pincers and little legs. But upon seeing it and asking Grinda if they can use it, she says, normally I would be happy to charge you a fee and let you use it, but this device has been on hold for 2 weeks because a blasted dragon in the harbor has caused the last and most significant piece of this device to sink into the harbor. And they said, well, what was it? It says the power source. It is a fist-sized glowing stone that I have ordered from Chult that is used to power this submarine-like device.
Dinotopia.
Yes.
Oh my god, I can't believe I got that right.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't watched that since I was a little kid and I still remember.
It's hard to forget.
Whoa.
But so she tells the party that...
Did anyone else catch it, by the way?
No.
No one. Dinotopia was lit.
It was. Now, she does tell the party that the dragon was responsible for startling the crew of the ship that was supposed to be bringing it to shore. The crate that it was in fell to the bottom of the harbor, and she hasn't seen it since, and that was 2 weeks ago. And she says, if you get it back for me, I would be very grateful. And Vorn, without missing a beat's like, what do you pay us?
How about use of the crab machine?
Actually, she did say that. She said that she does not have the funds on hand to pay you in, metric units. But she said that how about, when available, free use and access to the diving apparatus when you want. And they thought, heck yeah, we'll look for buried treasure.
Too bad they didn't have the lizard folk with them to get something from underwater. Dang.
But one of them did ask, okay, first off, we're more than happy to help you, but what can we do to do this? And she said, well, I've actually tried hiring a bunch of privateers or just anyone who is willing to work this opportunity, but no one wants to go diving in waters where a dragon is swimming around. And so she says, but if you're willing and you're able, I have just the thing to help you. And she pulls out a crate full of potions of water breathing. And I described it, I said they look like they're circular vials filled with swirling blue liquid that looks like it has brine and all kinds of other debris floating in it, like sand. It's not actually sand, but potions all kind of have these unique visual designs. And she said, if you drink this before diving into the water, you will have up to an hour of free breathing and the ability to speak and communicate underwater in languages that you know. And they thought, okay, cool, that's awesome. And she directed them to where the place where the crate slipped off into the water and said that you may want to start going there. And Terry says, well, I do not require air, and it says so in my character description that I do not require air to function, so I will not need a potion of water breathing.
You're going to have trouble swimming, though. You're going to have to walk there.
So here's the thing. The dinghy that Grinda let them borrow did have a little 30-pound anchor, and they tied it off so that the dinghy would be there when they got back. Vorn proceeds to just swim to the bottom. Vane uses the rope as a guide to kind of guide herself down to the bottom.
Smart.
Meanwhile, Terry just jumps into the water and he sinks like a rock.
He just stands completely still, completely erect. He just...
Yeah. And I said, well, congratulations, Terry. Yeah, you don't require air to breathe, nor do you have to worry about communicating underwater, but you weigh significantly more than everyone else, and you have a harder time swimming. So
Buoyancy, have you heard of it?
You're made of metal and wood. Yeah, you're going to sink. Let me see. So they find some debris that indicates the breaking of a crate on the floor of the harbor, and they
The dragon has the stone, right?
They kind of start following some trails, and they come across two areas. They see on one side where the harbor starts to kind of drift into deeper water, a sunken ship. And on the other one, they see a shark swimming in circles above their head about 500 feet away.
What kind?
They couldn't tell exactly, but a shark is a shark.
A shark is a shark.
They did try some some investigation checks to see specifically what kind, but
they get up. It's a street shark.
It's just got fists.
Coral bunga. Jawsome. I don't think they ever said coral bunga in the show, but I think it's pretty funny.
But they didn't roll very high on their investigations to tell what type of shark was a threat, but they scored high enough that they could tell by the distinct dorsal fin and the way the tail was swimming that it was in fact a type of shark species. And then it dove very quickly into what appeared to be a sea cave, a seafloor cave.
Okay, so was the shark a polymorph dragon or what?
Well, they decided that they wanted nothing to do with where the shark went, so they decided they were going to investigate the sunken ship first.
Even though the shark was clearly you leading them somewhere.
Maybe it was. They decide to go to the ship. Terry and Vane are swimming, or Vorn and Vane are swimming. Terry's just kind of like Terminator walking on the seafloor. And they start investigating the ship. And they're like, well, can we see anything from the outside? I mean, if it is where the dragon is hiding, we don't want to surprise it. Or if something else is there, we don't want to be caught off guard. And they said, well, if you really don't want to get any closer, give me either a perception or investigation check to see if you notice anything. Vane and Terry didn't see Jack. This is just a sunken ship on the floor. Vorn, on the other hand, can see in this medium-sized hole in the side of the ship that there are some sparkly bits. As the sun rays come through the surface of the water, it's catching the light on something.
Gotcha.
And he's like, I see shinies!
I see shinies.
And so they go in through the top of the ship. They're starting with the main deck, and they go down to the second level. And it is full of what looks to be a crew quarters and a galley. There's nothing of value there really, but there's some items and artifacts that tell the story of part of the ship's life or the crew's life on the ship. And then they go down to the very bottom part of the ship, and they see it is, I described to them, a mound of gold coins, raw treasure such as pearls and coral that is roughly the size of the gaming table and 3 feet high.
Ooh.
And Vorn and Vane are like, Dragon Horde.
Of course.
Now, without missing a beat, Vorn just proceeds to start stuffing his pockets.
Of jorts.
Vane tries to, but she didn't realize that she was still in her morning dress.
Oh.
So, it's all flowing and it's really hard to move around. I mean, she can kind of swim forward, but it's not easy to get access to the pocket, so she doesn't get anything. Vorn manages to get 2 fistfuls of treasure, and Terry says, I will just stand watch.
It's like, okay. All right, Terry. Good boy.
And after about 5 minutes of being left alone in the ship, I tell Terry, I said, you begin to see the silhouette of what looks like something flying underwater. It has a fairly large wingspan, and it seems to be snaking through the water like a serpent.
Nice.
And he says, I do not know for certain, for it is still a ways away, but I believe the dragon is on its way back. And Vane and Vorn immediately stop trying to shovel stuff in their pocket, and they're just trying to look innocent and stuff. Oh, there's treasure on the ship? We don't know. And it takes the dragon approximately 30 seconds from the time Terry spotted it for it to arrive at the ship. And it immediately slinks down into the ship, coils itself around the treasure, and with a very toothy grin says, well met. For it is a brass dragon.
More like an ash
Or
dragon.
not brass, it's a bronze dragon.
Not like a... Okay, I don't have an immediate wordplay for bronze, but still, you get the point.
It is a bronze dragon who introduces himself as Zelipharn, and he is curious as to why the party is down here in a ship. And the party tells him that we were sent by the Black Staff of Waterdeep to investigate a dragon who is causing problems for some of its sailors. They didn't lie. Vorn is still trying to keep the temperature of the water regulated.
By peeing.
Yeah, because he does have dragon's treasure in his pockets.
And he is urinating, of course.
And I said, this dragon isn't huge. It is a young bronze dragon.
That's what I figured.
It's not a wormling. Wormlings are roughly the same size as a medium creature.
Yeah.
This dragon is not near. Usually, ancient or adult dragons are the size of ships or even castles. This dragon is roughly about 4 times the size of one of the players. So it's it's a young dragon.
Yeah, I get it.
Capable of speech, has some magical abilities, but is still very naive to certain things. And he believes the party story, and he tells them, he says, well, I wasn't meaning to cause problems. I was simply practicing my sneak attacks. And he keeps bringing up all of these militaristic mannerisms about like sneak attacks and ambushes. And the party then asks him, he's like, well, what is your intention here if you don't want to hurt people and everything like that? And he tells them that he actually wants to become affiliated with the city of Waterdeep and wants to become like one of its protectors.
Oh, he wants to be a Earth Defender Kaiju.
Something like that. He wants an audience with the Open Lords of Waterdeep, and you can kind of see his inexperience because there's only one Open Lord of Waterdeep.
Of course.
There are multiple hidden lords, but he clearly is kind of ignorant to all of the details. But he wants
hidden lords.
He wants an audience with some some members of politics in the city to basically put up a sales pitch of why I want to be a defender of the city. Because the thing about bronze dragons is they are obsessed with military standards. They are the warriors of the metallic dragons, and they love being in charge of mortals and organizing them in such a way that they can fight whatever evil force comes up against them. So he's trying to get in with the Lords of Waterdeep, and they're like, that's actually really cool. I'm sure they'd love that, but why don't you just go see them yourself? And he explains to them that he cannot enter the immediate border of the city for some unknown magical reason. He explains to them that every time he tries to get close to the exit of the docks into the city, something just repels him. And he physically cannot enter the city proper. So he is simply doing his best to practice and become stronger in the harbor until he somehow finds a way to get access. The party then asks him about the power source, and he says, you talking about this? And he goes into his hoard, and he pulls out a glowing orb, and they tell him that they said, yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. And he says, well, this is a valuable piece of magical technology. I don't know if I've only just met you. I don't think I can fully trust you. You seem like good people, but I don't know. I'd be willing to trade it for either 50 gold pieces or a piece of sunken treasure somewhere else. And Vorn gets the bright idea of
to give him his gold back?
No. Try and...
So he didn't pull a Connor.
Vorn actually he told me himself as a player, he said, I want to try and trick the dragon to go to where that shark was and get them to fight each other, and then so we can make a clean getaway.
All right.
And that was my reaction.
I don't completely understand what's happening here, but fine.
So I said, okay, so what do you tell the dragon? And he says... He says, well, I saw some raw treasure. Like, I noticed in your hoard, you've got lots of multicolored coral. He says, oh, yes, I especially prize pink coral. He says, well, I know that there's a pink...
This dragon is an environmental disaster.
But as he puts it, he's a fan of rare coral, not the cheap stuff, I guess.
They're rare because you keep destroying it, bud. That's why it's rare, fam.
Vorn tells the dragon, he says, well, I know for a fact there's a pink coral bed over there in that sea cave about 1,000 feet from here. And the dragon's like, great. So go get it and I'll trade it for you.
Ooh, got him. Absolutely got him.
Yeah, the dragon's not stupid.
Holy
I think
tits.
Vorn failed a persuasion check. I think he rolled like a 10, and the dragon saw right through him.
These are ancient noble critters, man.
And so
you just got warned.
So he tries another persuasion check. I don't remember the exact words, but he does.
I just felt something on my crotch. I thought it was your foot. It's the dog's head. She's begging for love.
Continue. So Vorn does manage to get the dragon to accompany them to the seafloor, the seafloor cave, and he's like, all right, there's the cave. Go down there and get your treasure. And he says, like, you're getting this for me. I don't even have to be out here right now. And he said, so the dragon is like, why are you? Because Vorn wants the dragon to go in first, and the dragon catches on. He's like, why do you want me to go in there first? And he says, well, there may be sharks or something. And he's like, sharks? Are you talking about Obliteratrix? And he said, and Vorn's like, excuse me, who? And he says, are you telling me that you got me all the way out here so that I would get involved with Obliteratrix over some pink coral at the bottom of this cave? And Vorn says something to the dragon, and the dragon just goes, I'm leaving.
Who's what?
So apparently there is a shark by the name of Obliteratrix that the dragon was already familiar with, that the party was not, nor were they made aware of. So the party thinks that this shark that they saw swimming around is the shark that the dragon is worried about. And so the dragon clearly wants nothing to do with this, and he tells the party, he's like, you know what? You get me the coral that I want, and then we'll talk. But before leaving, Terry pipes up and says, what if we get you an audience with the Black Staff of Waterdeep?
Wait, they didn't think of that earlier?
No, they didn't.
You're joking.
They waited until all the shenanigans happened.
That wasn't the first thing they said to him.
I literally told them that this dragon wanted an audience, and then if...
You're goofing on me.
I'm not.
You guys suck. I know every single one of you is listening to this. Y'all, come on, guys.
They finally make a last-ditch effort. Terry just decides to say, you know what, forget it. We're not ruining the environment, and we're not pulling a fast one on this dragon. Let's just give him an audience with a high-ranking member of Waterdeep society.
Guys.
And the dragon says, that's perfect. And Terry actually convinces the dragon to go ahead and give them the power source. He's so excited.
Dang.
He's so excited to have a meeting because they've already shown him their gray hand badges, so they already have an in with Vajra. And so by showing them the badges and making this offer, the dragon's like, here, take it. I need to go make myself presentable. And
puts on a little bow tie? God, that'd be hilarious. Please tell me you did that.
No.
A little
It's a little coral-shaped bow tie. Or bow tie-shaped coral.
Oh.
Anyways, so the party then says, okay, good, we got what we wanted, let's get out of here. We've determined that the dragon is not hostile. If anything, it wants to help the city more than hurt it. And we got the power source that we needed to get Grinda. So they proceed to go back up to the ship, and the dragon actually followed them back to their ship and helped Terry into the boat.
Oh.
Picked him up like a little doll.
A little tear bear.
And so they part ways finally with the dragon for that point, and they raise anchor, and they're actually quite a good ways out away from the main harbor. So they had to kind of start rowing their way back, and they notice that roughly in the direction of the sea cave, they see what looks like a shark, close enough that they can tell, like, okay, it's about an 8-9 foot long shark. And they said, oh, that must be Obliteratrix. We ought to steer clear of him.
Eyes cold black like a doll's eye.
And he's trying to eat a pelican. The shark is like trying to leap out of the water and get a pelican, but is not having much luck. And
Pelican, more like pelicant.
And the party's like, oh, that's it's a good thing he's all the way over there. That would be dangerous. And then all of a sudden, this 30-foot shark leaps out of the water, eats the smaller shark, and then they see the fin make their way towards their boat.
That's literally that's like, isn't that how like the first act or the second act of the Meg ends?
I've never seen the Meg, so I don't know.
Well, it's very mediocre. So
but so now they're in a chase with this giant shark, and Vorn's like, let's go. And so this chase was a little bit different because they're not running, they're just using a little boat. And so I asked them each, like, you each get 10 foot of movement in this little rowboat. And on your bonus action, you can either cast spells to either hinder the shark, or you can use spells or actions to try and improve your speed. So I was very pleased with what Vorn did. He actually cast Mage Hand and had it grab one of the spare oars in the boat, and he added 10 extra feet of movement.
Who needs Mara? Who needs me? I'm not needed. You guys got mage hand.
So then Terry, all Terry can think to do, because he has no spells and all of his stuff is close range focused. So
he turns into a motor like a transformer.
Well, I was thinking he might try and pick up 2 paddles and just start going with one in each hand.
Barbarian, of course.
But he didn't do that. He just said, I want to make strength checks to try and increase our speed. And he did that. And then Mira is casting spells like that one clip of Moon Knight where he's just going, random bullshit, go.
I love those Moon Knight edits. This is so fun.
And the shark... the shark is like so much faster than they are. But they just managed to get to the shore when the shark finally catches up to them. And they're on the dock. They're out of the boat. And the shark catches up to them. And
it's like in that movie, Super Shark Written Come on Land.
But as they're docking the boat, they notice that an old man is standing there waiting for them, and they recognize it as Hlam, the old man who is at the top of Mount Waterdeep from a side quest you guys did earlier.
Whoa, what's he doing all the way down there?
Well, as he told them he'll tell them in just a second, but he is waiting for them to hear their report and report back to Vajra. Because, a dragon, no one knows how significant the threat might be, and he wanted to make sure that the information was gotten as soon as possible. And this shark jumps out of the water, is about to land where they are, trying to get at them.
Does he punch the shark?
So Terry actually grabs, everyone's running past him, but Terry grabs his wrist. He's like, you should not be here, citizen. And I said, make a dexterity check, or make a strength check. And he failed against Hlam's dexterity counter check. And as the shark comes down, he takes the flat part of his palm and he hits the shark in the nose. And the shark just goes flying back 40 feet, landing back first into the water, belly up.
God, that sounds like the worst and best Kung Fu movie of all time. He Bruce Lee'd the crap out of that shark.
And everybody else in the party is like, okay, level 20 NPC, fuck me.
We are not needed in this city, all right? We are not needed here.
And Hlam just very casually turns around and says, do you have the information that Lady Vajra requested? And they said, oh yeah, and they tell her the whole story. Which reminds me, there was something else before the shenanigans with trying to trick the dragon. The dragon also gave the party a side quest.
Oh.
And I completely forgot this information. Because a bunch of stuff I had already had planned, and I had just forgotten to talk about it right now. But the dragon said that after you report back to the Black Hand of Waterdeep, if you're interested...
What is that? I thought it was Gray Hand.
Sorry, the Gray Hand.
Oh,
Someone actually did say Black Hand, and I said, no. Do not get the Black Hand and the Gray Hands confused, because there is an organization in Dungeons & Dragons called the Black Hand, and they are evil.
I was like, wait.
But no, the dragon told them, he says, I've been doing some recon missions on some of the ships that are coming and going from the harbor, and there's one in particular, it's real shiny, it's got a lot of colors on it, but it's got this mechanism on the bottom of it that I thought was really suspicious. And I thought, well, did you catch the name of the ship? And he said, I did. It was called the Eye Catcher.
Okay.
Which is one of Zordo Zod's ships.
Yep.
So the party agreed that after they returned, and the dragon said that, he says, I don't want you to put yourselves in danger. Just find out what you can about this and report back to me.
Yeah.
Whether you look at it from the outside or you go into the ship and sneak on, whatever you want to do is fine, just as long as you get something new that I haven't already gotten.
That would have been a good job for me, Mrs. Swimming Speed.
And the dragon said, and if you do this, I'll give you a part of my horde.
We already have You know what? Never mind. Yeah, we'll do it.
Vorn actually almost made that mistake.
God.
But so that they go back to Hlam and they tell him everything that happened with the dragon and why it was here. And he said, Lady Vajra will want to hear this, and we will see what we can do about setting up a meeting. We don't typically let our highest ranking protectors and leaders come face to face with any unknown threats, but if it is a brass dragon and its intentions are honorable, then I see that other than using up some time, there will be no reason not to set up a meeting. Hlam then leaves, despite the party wanting to talk to him more, but he just kind of like pieces out.
Hlam? I hardly know him.
And they said, okay, well, that mission's done. Let's go talk to Grinda and see about the submarine, or I just call it the diving apparatus.
Which now I guess you can use to spy on the ship or whatever.
And she was very grateful to receive the power source back, and told them that once the ship is repaired, it should take a 10-day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, that's quite a while.
Because the thing is that this...
I hope they wrote down these quests.
They did. I know I did. But the party, let's see, was they...
Bunch of little kissable misters.
Yeah, they were very eager to come back in a week or 10 days and use the diving device. Vorn then decides that he wants to go meet up with Davil Starsong, his Zentarum leader, at the Yawning Portal, and Vane wants to accompany him because he's looking for some work. While Vorn is speaking with Davil, Vane is wanting to advertise and promote the business, so she's not overhearing any of his conversation.
Is she advertising and promoting our bar and another bar?
Yes.
Not cool. Not cool at all.
That's okay, because she failed a bunch of stuff.
That's not Coochie Gang. That's not Gangnam Style.
Durnan actually had something to say to her, but I'll get to that in just a minute.
He'll kick her butt. He's tough.
So Vorn met with Davil, and Vorn had some questions that he wanted to ask Davil. And Davil said, oh, well, this is perfect. I've got some questions I'd like to ask you as well. And Vorn, what did Vorn want to ask him again? I didn't make that note down.
Raggy.
He wanted to ask him something, but it was very vague. It had something to do with he wanted to ask him about buying the business that Froon used to owe when it went onto the market, because he wanted to expand.
Doesn't really seem like the best idea.
Davil said, yeah, no problem. We'll keep ears to the ground, and we'll let you know if anything comes up, and who knows, maybe we can get you a discount on whatever the city would pay you would require you to pay for it. And he said, but now it's our turn for our question. And they said, are you familiar with an organization by the name of Brigand Dareth? Mm-hmm. And he said, know him. I'm currently working for him. And they said, oh,
know him? That's my wife. I'm into boomer humor these days.
And Davil asked him, like, well, how so? And he says, well, I know this guy named J.B. Nevercott who approached me the other day about doing some jobs for him. And, just some small-time wet work stuff. And they want to see if I'm worth their time. And they say, well, how did you do? And they said, and Vorn said, well, I did their first trial mission successfully, and they paid me really well. All I had to do was steal a handkerchief from a noble and then drop it off at a specific location, and they seemed to be really interested. And Davil said, okay, since you're so new, we're not going to force this on you. There are veteran members of us that could do something like this, no problem. But seeing as you already have an in with them, because we were wondering if you would spy on them for us. And so Davil wants to use this connection that Vorn has made to get an in. And he explained to them, he says, we don't know these guys. They are a newcomer to this city. We've already got our hands full with the Xanathar Guild and all these other problems with the city. We don't need a new gang coming in here causing us more grief.
If you hear that squeaking, that is the dog.
And so Davil said, if you don't want to do this, that's fine, no pressure. But if you do, we will pay you handsomely to be act as a double agent for us. And Vorn said, well, which one pays more? And they said, well, we're not going to pay you if you choose to opt out. We're just going to get someone more qualified to make connections anyway.
Wait, did he really ask what pays more, doing the job or not doing the job?
Yes, he did.
God. That's brain fart number 2.
And so
God, I love this group so much.
So Vord agrees to do the job, and he says that the next time that I run into them, or the next time JB Nevercaught makes a contact with me, I will keep that in mind. And that's that. Meanwhile, Vane has teamed up with this other bard in the tavern, and I said this bard's very distinct because he seems to be a very young man, and he's playing a lute, but the lute, which traditionally has 4 strings, only seems to have 3. And she says, well, I want to sing with this guy, and I want to like do a bunch of ditties for our bar. I said, okay, make a performance check. And so I have her roll a performance check, and I have him roll a performance check. And she says,
no one's gonna step in and be like, hey Vane, maybe don't do this.
So she rolls an 8, and I say, yeah, you're actually kind of singing off key. You're not really impressing a lot of people, and some people are just trying to bury their faces in their mugs of ale to ignore you. And she said, aw. And I said, but you're not the only one alone in this, because the bard you're playing with rolled a 1.
Oh, no, dude.
And so he's just making it even worse. He's drunk off his ass, making a fool and mockery of himself. And Durnan comes over to you, both of you, with a mug in each hand and says, I will give you both a free ale if you will stop making that racket.
Okay.
To which they accept and don't make any more noise until Vorn is ready to go.
Whack. Absolutely whack.
At this point, let's see. Oh, yes. Everyone reconvenes at the tavern, and
they kiss.
Chip's brother, or one of Chip's brothers, is waiting for you at the tavern and asks he says, I am Chip's brother. My name is Dahl, and I was wanting to know...
Chip and Dahl?
You're also the first one to catch on to that.
Chip and Dahl. Chip and Dahl! Don't spit out your water. Careful, bud. That was a really good Disney Plus movie, by the way. It was really well scripted. Incredible film.
But what I was saying,
Chip and fucking Dahl. Sorry, continue.
I still can't believe that nobody else in the party. You were the first one to catch all these references.
I'm glad I can make you happy.
But so he approaches the party, and he asks them that we've already made arrangements for the burial, but we wanted to have his wake on the 25th. We've already spoken to Mira.
That's me. I was not there.
And she said it would be fine, but we wanted to finalize a date. And they said, yeah, that's totally fine. This is like 6 days away.
Okay.
And so he said, we understand how some of this business goes, and so we want to go ahead and give you half of the money now.
No.
And half later. And so...
And they turned it down, right?
No, they took half.
Fuck. That was supposed to be free. That was the whole point. God damn it, you guys. Guys, I missed one session. The first one in the main campaign I ever missed. And you make my dead date, who I couldn't save's family, pay for the venue.
Oh, that's not even the worst part. So the player who plays Vane made a comment, and I had to clarify. Please tell me you said that as a player and not as Vane.
What did she say?
After the money was exchanged, Vane's player said, "What are they burying? Just a pair of legs?"
No.
And
Thank God that was out of character.
And everyone went, "Holy crap!"
I'm sad of myself. Is it a good joke? Absolutely. It's incredible. Very well done. But also, Jesus Christ. This is the best. I'm so sorry I missed it. Dang.
And they decided that the following day, because this was a little confusing, and I felt a little bad because I felt like I wasn't explaining it properly. But this was some downtime stuff. The party had some stuff they had to do. They still have to find the Nimblewright.
Yeah.
And they've got some time before the wake. So I said, you guys have some downtime, and it's going to take you several days to find this Nimblewright. And they're like, but we have the tracker, we've got this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you got the tracker. There's a whole city in one Nimblewright.
Yeah, and I said, you're only going to... And she said, but we've been going all over the city with this thing, and we still haven't found him. And I said, okay,
you have not been...
Well, they had it turned on one time. And I said, but you're only going from point A to point B on your way to other missions. You're not thoroughly searching these burrows. And I'm even rolling percentiles because you're not rolling thoroughly and you haven't come across them. I said, if you want to be effective, you've got to search each one by one. You know he's not in the dock ward. You've already been there and you searched that place thoroughly with the help of Zod clarifying and everything like that. I said, but you've got like 9 other places you have to search too. And none of us are really used to downtime activities, so I think it's like because we're so used to going from one event to another and another that we're not used to spending more than one day on something.
We're used to Skyrimming this shit.
And Terry made the point, he says, well, I want to have some time to work on this final crystal.
Yeah,
and
I
said,
forgot there's one more left.
And I said, yeah, okay, that's fine, because see, when it comes to downtime, you know, in the past, you've been trying to knock these things out in a single day, so I have you roll intelligence checks. But if you want to spend more than one day, you can spend time instead of just rolling risks of getting locked out, like you have been with the second crystal.
Kind of like in Call of Cthulhu, where you can either skim a book or you can take the time to read it.
Yeah, I said you can either rush and roll the dice and risk, or you can take the time and just get it done. And he says, well, I don't want to do that and search for the Nimblewright because that's going to take up space for one or the other. And then he said, well, can I like do the crystal at night since I don't have to actually sleep, and then search for the Nimblewright during the day? And I checked the books and I said, because you don't sleep, it requires you that you do a non-strenuous activity, or you go into basically sleep mode. And I said, I would allow that if that's what you wish to do. So you're not actually sleeping, you don't require rest, but you do need to make sure that you're not straining yourself to have it count as an actual night of sleep or rest. And so that's what we did. Vane and Vorn spent their days with Terry looking for the Nimblewright. Took them 3 days. And then Terry spent his nights working on the crystal, and it took him 3 nights. So we'll start with the Nimblewright first. On the 3rd day, they finally found the Nimblewright hiding under a crate.
Oh, they found him
in an alleyway in the North Ward.
Nice.
I asked them, I said, how exactly are you guys going to be searching for this Nimblewright? And I said, I've already said it takes a day. I just want to know how you're going to do it, just for context. And they said, well, we're all going to split up. One of us is going to have the device, and then the others are going to be searching normally, either asking questions or keeping their eyes out. And then when one person has success, we'll notify all the others and reconvene. I said, okay, that sounds fair.
That's how they notify each other.
Each day they had a specific spot where they would meet up.
Okay.
But semantics. At this point, I'm tired of semantics. I want my party to have fun, because they're already starting to get a little upset about the concept of downtime.
Turning on the device that you want to use.
So they find the Nimblewright. He's hiding under a crate, and I think this was one of the best moment of the last session, because this was just...
They take him down, and then they said, Nimblewright, more like clumsy wrong.
Actually, the Nimblewright almost kicked their butt.
Wow, guys.
Okay, so I'm not going to say exactly what the stats are, because you guys may encounter another Nimblewright in the future. Obviously, this is not the only one, and we still don't know what exactly is going on with it. But
it could have been replicating itself like the other one.
Yeah. Plus, you guys still only have half of the pieces. You found the Nimblewright, and you found that it was responsible for the fireball, but you still don't know how the white stone and the limping cloaked figure is involved. So maybe the Nimblewright has something to do with that as well. It's too many coincidences, not enough information. But, so they find the Nimblewright, and Terry immediately says, target located. Come with us quietly or face destruction. And
he'll do it too.
Well, the Nimblewright, without even hesitating, whips out a rapier from its right thigh and attacks the party.
Wow.
Now, This thing is like a master fencer. Like Terry kept trying. Terry was like the only one who was doing anything to it for like 3/4 of the fight.
Just Rock'em Sock'em Robots D&D edition.
That's what I said.
Exactly. That's a pretty obvious joke.
Vorn tried putting it to sleep.
It's a robot. These guys are lost without me. I don't want to be that guy.
And Mara
never play without me again.
Mara tried casting a spell on it that required it.
I wasn't there, and I don't have spells.
Mara tried to make.
I wasn't there, and I don't have spells.
Okay. Is this a joke, or you just want me
to... You keep saying Mara tried to do something, to cast a spell, and I'm like, I wasn't there, and I don't have any spells.
Sorry, not Mara, Vane. Vane tried casting some spells that required saving throws, but again, it's a robot. Unless it's like physical damage, you're not gonna... There's no mind to manipulate. There's no... It's a robot. It's made of metal. It doesn't get poisoned. Mm-hmm. And so Mira...
I mean, doesn't she play Pokemon? You can't poison a steel type, Suze!
I didn't even catch on to that. But so Terry with this big ol' axe is like the only one who's really hitting this thing. And even then, it's getting Terry as good as it gets. I would
buy a Terry action figure.
The first hit that Terry takes from this thing, he hasn't raged yet. And so the thing deals like 17 points of damage to him because it can attack 3 times.
Ugh.
Twice with a rapier and then once with a hidden dagger it takes out of its ankle.
Christ, that's what Kabuto does in Karen's campaign.
Yeah, but this thing keeps its dagger stored in its ankle like Terry keeps his axe stored on his back.
Oh, that's pretty cool. They're just both full of secret blades. God, that would be a really cool fight to watch on screen.
I kept doing my best to because that's the other thing. This thing has the parry ability, and the party learned real quick that it's fucking strong.
God, I wish I was there. That sounds like such a fun session, man.
And so, let me make sure I got my notes here right. After Terry took significant damage, he decided to rage, and at level 3, he finally got to use his Barbarian's unique rage ability, which is where it's called something else in the book, but we call it system malfunction.
Ooh.
And so Terry rages, and he's raged before, but he notices some text go across his visor as he's fighting, and of course the extra armor plating comes out and everything. And he calls it, this says, system error, malfunction imminent, flash cannon activated. And all of a sudden his chest opens up and like this lightning rod comes out.
He's the Guyver. Absolutely, he's the Guyver.
And so this lightning rod comes out, and as a bonus action, he can the enemy that he is firing at with this thing. One, he can launch a lightning bolt as a bonus action on his turn with this malfunction.
Oh my god!
And in order for it to work, the enemy has to make a Constitution saving throw, and the enemy, despite being a machine, does not have a high constitution, and so he kept failing. And so with this attack, every time the enemy fails, you deal 1d6 radiant damage to the enemy. And so in addition to his two-handed great axe, he was launching like lightning bolts unibeam style from his chest.
Oh my god. Iron Man is a much more relevant reference than the Guyver, I now realize. Everyone listening to this is like, who the fuck is the Guyver?
Let's see. Vorn decides that he says, okay, there's no way that I am hitting this thing head on, and I've tried, it's not working. Because he kept like wanting to stab it in the back, and he wouldn't roll high enough, and all of his attacks weren't hitting. And I basically flavored it as you're so used to fighting fleshy targets that all of the normal weak spots that would be on a regular person are armor plated on this thing.
That's a nice flavor.
And so Vorn decides to get creative. He says, all right, I want to use my roguish actions, because like rogues, you've played a rogue before, they get like bonus actions to hide, disengage, or do other stuff.
Oh yeah, it's been so long I've forgotten.
And so he wants to use his bonus action to disengage and run all the way to the end of the alleyway. And I'm like, okay, what's he trying to do?
He's got a plan. He's got a sneaky plan.
And Susan has tried fighting this thing with a fence, because she's like a 200-year-old elf who's like been schooled in the art of fencing, but this thing just puts her to shame. Like it's got like calculated methodical protocols or whatever.
She just downloaded it like Neo learning Kung Fu in the Matrix.
Well, no, she didn't. This robot did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So she finally calls in a Hail Mary and she says, I'm going to cast Cloud of Daggers on this thing. And I said, okay, what's that do? And she basically says that for a 5 square foot area, knives magically appear on a creature of your choosing. And at the beginning of their turn, they take 4d4 piercing damage. And I'm like, okay, I've got nothing for that. So the next turn starts, and all of these daggers pierce into the machine, but not before it deals a significant blow against Terry. And even though Terry, now that he's raging, is only taking like half damage against this thing, still takes 11 more damage from the 17 he'd already taken.
Woof.
Terry and this thing are now, they're being held together by duct tape. They're both shaking.
This is like an anime fight. This is hardcore. This is a dope battle.
Yeah, and then so Vorn on his turn decides to climb up the side of the building and run as far as he can along the building's edge. And I said, it's like a 3-story building. You're in the upper part of town, so it looks a lot better than the others. And I said, so what are you going to do up here? He says, I'm going to take one of my javelins, and I'm going to throw it right at this thing. Get it from like an aerial shot.
Oh, straight down, huh?
Yeah, and he gets the killing blow on it.
That's a pretty sick killing blow.
Yeah. He Hail Marys the shot. It lands. I say that it pierces the nimble right through where its collarbone would be. It goes out of its side. It is pinned to the ground, and it's continuing to try and swipe with its rapier. But as you can see, the energy leaving its eyes, it then falls to the ground, a crumbling husk.
That's a really cool death, man. God, I want to see that animated. That's so cool. Oh my God, that's so.
I had so much fun DMing this fight, and everybody.
That's one of the coolest fights that I think our group's ever had.
And then Vorn proceeds to he makes an acrobatic check to slide down the side of this building, and Terry's mad because he got the killing blow, and he says what took you so long? Where did you go?
Oh yeah, I bet you was a little jelly maybe. I would have been. And
so the party then decides that they want to search the nimble right, and they're like, I'm going to look for anything valuable. This thing. There's got to be something on this thing. And I say, there is. I say, after searching the Nimblewright in one of its compartments, you find a very, very small but accurately printed map of the city of Waterdeep. And I explained it that this looks like a map where they haven't hand-drawn it. They have a metal printing plate that they have stamped onto this thing. They
Gutenberged it.
Yeah, they Gutenberged
They freaking Gutenberged it.
And I say, and on this map, it's about the size of a standard 8.5 by 11 paper folded up. You see there's an X located...
X marks the twat. Pip thought it was funny. Dog loved it.
There's an X located in one of the wards in Waterdeep, and next to the X is the name Fenris.
What's the name?
Fenris Stormcastle. All right. So, yes, the party defeats the Nimblewright, and they find a map with an X and a name written on it that seems to point to a specific point of interest. But before they do this, the party decides that they need to go cash in on their reward for taking care of the Nimblewright with the House of Inspired Hands.
And we still haven't gone to see an open lord to talk about the dragon, right?
Well, they did talk to Hlam, and Hlam said he would talk to Vajra Safar, and they did say that we can set up a meet with the Black Staff, who's also a prominent member in Waterdeep protection and politics.
All right.
And so the gears are in motion for that meeting to take place.
Perfect. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember. I wasn't there, guys.
Actually, I didn't mention this because I thought it was inconsequential, but they actually did go to Blackstaff Tower, where Hlam and Vajra were talking, and they said, we talked to the dragon and it wants a meeting with you. And she's like, I know. Hlam was just telling me that.
Hlam just told me that, you dipshit.
And then Vorn was like, where's our reward?
Jesus Christ. I'm never missing a session again. This is so funny. God, I wish I would have seen it.
But anyways, they go back to the House of Inspired Hands, and they're looking... first thing that Terry does is he calls Brina, his contact, and he's like, Brina, I need maintenance. Because he's like falling apart at the seams.
Poor fella.
And she proceeds to, she shows up and she's all worried for him. And she starts like getting all of her equipment to take care of him. And they ask her, like, do you know where Valletta is? And they say, she's somewhere around here. What do you need her for? And they're like, we have a reward to receive for dealing with this Nimblewright. And she says, all right, Terry, you're stable. I'll give me 1 second. I'll go retrieve her.
What was it, 500 gold?
500 gold pieces.
That's top tier reward right there.
And
especially at level 3.
and so it takes her about 5 minutes to find Valletta. And I asked the players, I said, well, you've got 5 minutes. And there's always new stuff going on here at the House of Inspired Hands. You guys want to see if there's any new inventions to check out? And they said, yeah, sure. I said, okay, I need each of you guys to roll me either an investigation or a perception check. And so Vane saw this really cool metallic dragon that was fluttering around on a table. Wasn't complete, wasn't able to take full flight, but it seemed to be working independently of itself.
That's cool.
Terry was so worn out that he couldn't focus on anything. Like, he kept having to hit his head to get his visual sensors online.
He is a cartoon.
But Vorn saw this really cool design. It was a model of a stingray, but it seemed to have all kinds of mechanical parts attached to it.
That's cool.
And I said, as you look closely at it, because it's very finely detailed, you notice it has a plaque underneath of it that says Scarlet Marpenoth. And I thought, oh man, that's wicked.
It's pretty wicked.
Valletta comes back, and Vorn asks her about the stingray, and she says, oh, that was a model that we made up a while back. It's
That's
just
the drone we used to kill Steve Irwin. I felt bad saying that.
Wow.
I shouldn't have said that.
The way I described it at the party is I said, do you guys remember in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, those little stingray-like submariners or whatever that they used? Apparently that's an old reference even for us.
Yeah,
because most of them.
That.
I said, and then Terry's player, G, showed me this Warhammer figure of like a stingray-like spaceship, and I said, yeah, it kind of looks like that, except you take all the guns off of it. But they asked about it. He says, yeah, that was a model we made a while back. Nothing's really come of it. It's just been gathering dust on this table for a while. But she says, so what about your mission? And the party says, all taken care of. And Vorn drags it in there. The javelin's still pierced through it. And she says, like, this is fantastic. This is wonderful. You've gone above and beyond my expectations. And so she
above and beyond. We did exactly what you wanted. That's above and beyond.
Well, she was just ecstatic.
Insulting. I'm kidding.
She was ecstatic at the fact that it wasn't throwing around fireballs anymore.
Messing around.
She was more worried about the legal implications of a creation gone awry than anything else.
Oh yeah.
So she comes back and she has a small chest. Well, I say small, a chest with 500 gold pieces, and she says, "You may divide this up amongst yourself as you would." And the party was considerate enough to hold 125 of it off for you.
Yay.
Yes.
That is dank means.
And she said, and because I'm so thrilled at your progress, I'm throwing in a bonus. And she gave the party, she scrounged up 4 minor inventions that each member of the party was able to take for their own. The first one, which I believe is the one they left for you, is a set of collapsible and extendable stilts.
Okay, give that to the person who regularly wears a skirt. That's fine.
And then basically these are stilts like the ones that you see
in Wolfenstein.
Yeah, actually, except instead of just making you jump taller, they just increase your height by 5 feet.
Yeah.
But you can change their height at will while you're wearing them.
That is kind of like Wolfenstein. Nice. Fun game.
It doesn't increase your movement speed or your jump height, but it does allow you to, alter your physical stature and allows you, common sense stuff.
That's going to be incredibly useful.
The second item, which is the one Terry took, was a portable parachute. This is a device that takes up 10 square feet when launched. You need at least 60 feet worth of falling before it opens properly, so you can't jump off of a 20 or a 2-story house and not take the fall damage.
He's a little heavy. Is he sure that's going to work for him?
Well, the way he's done it, it will work, but he is having it installed into his lower back.
Okay.
So now it's like a part of him.
The only thing installed in my lower back is arthritis.
I'm so sorry.
That's my upper back.
The next invention, which is the one Vorn took, is called the barking box. And it is basically a 6-inch by 6-inch cube with a light switch on one side and a hand crank on the other. And after spending a minute cranking the handle, the box will make what sounds like a dog bark for 1 hour. And then the switch on the side alters between a small dog bark and a large dog bark.
I can see pretty creative uses for that.
Of course, the thief wants the distraction box.
Uh-huh.
And then the last one is more of a roleplay item, but Vane decided to take it. I gave everybody, fair chance, and she went with the matchless pipe. And it is essentially a clockwork pipe that has a flint button mechanism built into its side so that when pushed after 3 consecutive clicks, it will light whatever is inside of it and have it consistently burn until empty.
Nice. Yeah, that one's less useful.
But it makes for good roleplay.
You could probably use it to start a fire in a cinch.
Mm-hmm.
In a pinch, in a cinch. I'm not smart.
Also
BarkBox is a real-world subscription box for dogs.
Also, none of these inventions use magic, so you could easily hide them on you without any magical sensitive person noticing. So, very, very handy. After this, the party decided to return home to their places of abode, where several things happened.
Wow,
First,
this was a long session.
Firstly, we'll start with the less eventful. Vane decided that at the end of the day, she wanted to inspect the new employees and test to make sure that they were doing their job as opposed to the rat folk who were doing it last time.
Normal supervisor stuff, but with trauma. Got it.
Yep. She inspected the kitchen, she inspected the bar, she inspected the dining area, and everything seemed to be in ship shape. She even thought that was such a good job that she gave everybody, all of the employees, 1 copper piece.
Wow, low.
Well, considering that they're all guild members, they don't have to worry about getting tips from anybody. They still thought it was a nice gesture that their boss was giving them a little bit of a thank you. And I gave her a fate point because when she was doing all this, she was using some real world experience because she has had previous jobs working in food industries. And she took some of that and applied it to the job that she was doing in the Forgotten Realms.
And then also she probably had personal chefs and stuff growing up, so I get that. As a character, not in real life. God,
Yeah.
I wish.
Let's see. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, before everyone left the House of Inspired Hands, Vorn and Vane left first. Terry wanted to go back up to the room where Nim was and talk to him again. And he had a very nice heart-to-heart, but Valletta, who had the keys to his room, new keys, used some language that he really didn't like, such as outmoded, scrapped, and disrepair.
Ooh.
And he did not care for that. And so he talked to Nim, and he offered that if Nim ever wants a friend, he is more than willing to be there and help him out. And they had a nice little heart-to-heart, or at least as much of a heart-to-heart as you can have when you're all made of metal.
And dick to butt.
And then he proceeded to have some words of his own for Valletta, which she did not take kindly to.
Ooh. Give my money back, actually.
Well, she didn't even talk to him like a real person. She talked to him like just an automaton. She doesn't understand why he's getting so emotional and why there's so much attachment to this other automaton that has even less intelligence than he does. It was rather heated. But so then Terry goes back following Vorn and Vane to the tavern, and then Vorn is approached by J.B. Nevercott. And so he's like, okay, I'm starting off my first day as a double agent. And Nevercott has his next mission, which is to deliver an expose to a newspaper stand or company called the Waterdeep Wazoo. And his goal is simply to leave this expose. It's just like a manila folder with like 10 pieces of parchment on it on the head editor's desk. And Vane says, is there any chance I can read this? And JB says, oh, by all means, read to your heart's content. I plan on it going into the newspaper anyway. You'll read it sooner than later, I'm sure. And it is a very juicy article about unnamed nobles in the city of Waterdeep partaking in devil worship.
Ooh.
It's talk of mass orgies, vile offerings, and the worship of the demon and demonic lords of the negative planes.
Someone called Madison Cawthorn.
And Vorn's like, and you're saying that all I have to do is drop this off on his desk and I'm done. It says, we'd prefer it if he didn't know. He said, here's the catch. You have to sneak it in there and leave it on his desk without him catching you. We don't want him to know where it came from. He just needs to know that it was delivered. And how you do that is up to you. Whatever means you want to take is fine, just as long as he doesn't see you and it arrives on his desk. And Vorn's like, challenge accepted.
God.
And then finally, there is Terry. And Terry has spent the last 3 nights working on this USB crystal. Brina has offered to install his new parachute into his lower back. And suddenly, as Terry finishes unlocking the final part of the crystal, he uncovers the whole truth about what happened to Gimgin.
Yo.
Now, you made some assessments.
I made many assessments
about what this is, and you can tell me how close you were. But when I told G this, he thought it was nothing what he was expecting, but it was awesome.
I like that he didn't know his own origin story as a player. I think that's fun.
Well, I get
it's very fun.
So this is what happened after spending all this time with the crystal. The crystal loses its green color and just becomes opaque. And suddenly his chest opens up, kind of like with the lightning rod. But instead of a lightning rod, a yellow sphere protrudes from his chest. And then like a Star Wars hologram projection, there is a lifelike representation of Gimgin standing in front of him. And he is holding an identical sphere, same color and everything, in front of Terry. And without taking his eyes off the orbs, he then proceeds to speak while he's being recorded on a crystal device. Gimgin explains that he made T32RY's body as a prototype Crime Stopper construct. Halfway through the prototype development phase, Gimgin was approached by a shady character who went by the name M, who offered him an exorbitant amount of money for the schematics for this construct, but was turned down out of Gimgin's pride.
Ooh.
Gimgin came home one 10-day later to find that his family was murdered, save for his mortally wounded son of 13 years. A bloody M painted on the living room wall where his family lay sprawled.
Of course.
Gimgin rushed his bleeding son to the nearest healer, where he learned that the wounds on his body were unable to be healed through both physical and magical means, but he was able to be made comfortable. After the City Watch and various other officials interrogated Gimgin and requested that he be given after all the officials did their investigations and interviews with Gimgin, he requested a private moment with his son, who was dying. While alone, Gimgin performed an untested ritual of his own design and snared his son's soul into a projection crystal.
Okay.
Gimgin kept the crystal hidden in a secret bag of holding and used his newly created secret study to find a way of restoring his son and tracking down the man who killed his family. Unable to restore his son's physical body, Gimgin made the desperate decision to use his new construct as a body for his son's soul. Gimgin locked away his son's memories within the projection crystals housing Terry's soul and sealed them within 3 other crystals hidden within his secret study. This was an attempt to ease the shock of his son's new form when he finally awoke. and then set Terry to activate, and I say Terry, I mean T32RY, to activate 5 days after he fled the city. Gimgin's reason for fleeing Waterdeep are as follows. 1. To go after the man who killed his family. 2. To flee the authorities of Waterdeep for committing what is essentially a form of necromancy and at least, or at worst, crimes against the gods. And thirdly, out of fear of what his son would think of him for his selfish actions. He could not bear to see his son suffer a second time, but couldn't bring himself to simply let his son perish. As for the man responsible for the Eversharp family murders, Gimgin was only able to discover 3 things. 1. He is a powerful member of the Zentarum. Number 2. He goes by the alias of Evil's Twin and has fled Waterdeep recently as of this recording. That's the third one. After all of this information was presented to Terry, Gimgin then closes by saying, T32RY, unlock Terry memory banks. He then takes in the hologram the yellow crystal and places it in the exact same spot where Terry's crystal is being presented through his chest. T32RY then regains all of Terry's memories, including those of his last moments being murdered and seeing the cloaked figure with a bronze hand wielding a black knife standing over his bloody body.
Ooh, wow. That's about exactly what I expected, but
Yeah.
I didn't know he'd get his childhood memories back. That I didn't expect at all.
Yeah, so
I thought it'd be a clean slate.
Not quite. So now you have the memories of Terry at this point he's about 16 years old, 3 years having passed since he was murdered. But he is now in this T32RY power armor.
Wow. But yeah, I did expect that kid's soul to be in there, 100%. I've expected that for several sessions.
And it was a really big revelation because I did not tell G's character any of this.
G's player?
Yeah, G the player.
G himself?
I never told G himself any of this or hinted at what would happen. But I did explain to him, I said, I was not trying to keep you in the dark, but I thought this was a very fitting description for why Terry has so much freedom of will and freedom of choice. Like, for example, when the noble at the opera theater was talking bad about Gimgin in front of him, he couldn't explain why he felt angry. He couldn't explain why he felt the way he did in defending Gimgin's honor. All he knows is that, I don't like this guy, I don't like him, I'm angry.
Wow. So is he going to be role-played completely differently now?
Somewhat. I've talked to him a little bit about it, and we're going to go over it as a whole. He'll be more or less be playing the same, just the way he'll be expressing himself will be a little bit different.
Maybe just more emotional or something?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Oh, and that is essentially where we left session 3.
Woof.
Everyone had a lot to think about, and we still have a lot to do. Because as of right now, we still have not heard back from Raynar regarding his investigation of the cloaked figure and the white stone. We have a new lead regarding a gentleman who has been marked on a map somewhere in Waterdeep. And there are several side quests that will be investigated regarding double agents backstabbing and tomfoolery.
I'm ready. Are you guys playing? We're recording this a couple weeks before it goes out because we're recording 3 in a day. But are you guys gonna play this weekend?
Probably not this weekend because you've got.
I'm out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on
you're going to be
vacation.
out.
I'm going to a convention.
We're looking at the earliest, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay, fantastic. I hope I can make it. It sounds like it's getting wild. Waterdeep has been as fun as everyone says it is.
I'm very excited. I thoroughly enjoyed DMing this past session, and it's only going to get even more exciting because now the ball is rolling. We are leaving the phase where everyone is doing the upkeep and the startup with a private business, and now we're getting into the plot.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds really fun. That was great. I'm very glad I waited to do the podcast before I read or listened to anything about it. Fantastic. So that's it, correct?
Yes, that is all of my notes for this session. I'm still organizing the notes for the next session, but like I said, that's going to be at least a week and a half before we start running it.
I'm very excited. So that is everyone. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to definitely follow our podcast, Spotify, Google, etc. I might upload this to YouTube, but I think I might stop uploading them to YouTube. I always upload them to YouTube way after they've gone live on, audio format, on audio places. I'm tired, and then they barely get any views because everyone's already listened to it. So I think I might stop uploading them to YouTube, but I might throw at least this one up beforehand, or I might try to just finish Waterdeep and then maybe stop uploading them to YouTube. Not totally sure. But yeah, we are gonna continue this. We're gonna do some more stuff. I really want to play I Am Your World. Remember that one I got you?
Yes, and just because of the difficulty spike in that one, I think that'll be best run as an in-between session.
What is it, like 5 to 8?
Yeah.
Probably be a good one to do after.
Yeah,
Waterdeep.
That's what I was thinking. Do a 5 to 8, and then if we wanted to do one of the more high-level campaigns like Storm King's Thunder or Tomb of Annihilation, that might be best if we want to still stick with this group of characters.
I want to try to run them out as much as possible. I really want to see where Mara goes. And if we get them real high level, I want to play Skullcano Island.
I'm very much looking forward to having a level 20 campaign with that.
The big King Kong Kaiju pulp adventure that I bought. Really cool. I got it on Kickstarter. It was very cool.
Did you see Terry drinking a potion of growth and trying to go toe-to-toe with a three-headed dragon kaiju?
Straight up Ultraman in it. Oh, man, that'd be cool.
Or either Ultraman or Jet Jaguar, maybe.
Jet Jaguar is actually more accurate, yeah. Jet Jaguar. I guess Iron King would probably be the most accurate, but I don't think a single person that listens to this is going to get an Iron King reference. If you do, definitely let me know. But that's it. Thank you all, and we will have another episode coming at you very soon. Check out all the links in the description, and we'll see you all next time.